the 8th of May 1945. Germany surrenders. The world begins to learn the true scale of Nazi horror. 6 million Jews murdered, families destroyed, fortunes stolen. But the war is not over. Thousands of Nazi war criminals escape, vanish, take new identities. They scatter across the globe with stolen gold and looted wealth. And no one is organized to hunt them down. No one until Mossad is born. This is the story of the world's most secret, most lethal, most sensational intelligence agency. Born in Israel's shadow, rising from World War II's ashes, revealing truths no one else knows. The 30th of January 1933, Adolf Hitler becomes Chancellor of Germany. For the Jewish people, catastrophe begins. 1939, World War II erupts. By 1941, the Holocaust transforms into a systematic extermination machine. For Jews, escape, resistance, and survival become the only options. In British-controlled Palestine, Jewish communities know they're next if Hitler wins. So they organize. Haganah, the underground Jewish defense force, operates in secret. Founded in 1920, it grows from a small self-defense militia into a sophisticated paramilitary organization. By the 1942, Haganah has tens of thousands of members. They smuggle weapons from Europe, train fighters in covert camps, and gather intelligence on Nazi movements and Arab forces aligned with Germany. But they face a problem. Britain controls Palestine and outlaws Jewish military activity. Haganah members risk arrest, imprisonment, even execution. So they operate in the shadows. Secret training bases hidden in kibbutzim, weapons caches buried underground, intelligence networks spanning Europe and the Middle East. They're not just preparing for war, they're building the foundation of what will become Israel's intelligence empire. Palmach Haganah's elite strike force takes this further. Founded in 1941, Palmach conducts covert operations behind enemy lines. They blow up bridges used by Vichy French forces in Syria. They sabotage Nazi supply lines in North Africa. They infiltrate Arab villages to gather intelligence. These aren't conventional soldiers. They're spies, saboteurs, assassins, and they're learning skills that will soon be desperately needed. One young operative stands out, Rafi Eitan. Born in 1,926 inches, a small village in British Palestine, Eitan joins Palmach at 16. He's short, quiet, unassuming, but he's fearless, brilliant, and driven by something deeper than duty. His family in Poland, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, were murdered in concentration camps. 37 relatives wiped out. He received the letters confirming their deaths when he was 17. He knows the enemy, and he'll never forget. By 1945, when the war ends, Eitan and thousands like him have learned the dark arts of espionage, sabotage, and assassination, skills that will soon define Mossad. But first, they face an even greater challenge: survival. Because while the Nazis lost the war, they didn't all face justice, and someone had to hunt them. But first, Israel needed to exist, and its survival required something the world had never seen before. The 14th of May, 1948. David Ben-Gurion stands in Tel Aviv and declares the establishment of the State of Israel. Within hours, 5 Arab armies invade: Egypt from the south, Jordan from the east, Syria from the north, Lebanon, Iraq. They have tanks, artillery, air forces. Israel has 35,000 poorly armed fighters and almost no heavy weapons. Survival depends on one thing: intelligence. Who's planning attacks? Where are weapons coming from? Which Arab leaders can be turned? Which supply routes can be cut? Which enemies can be eliminated before they strike? Israel already has intelligence services operating. Shin Bet handles internal security hunting spies, preventing terrorism, protecting government officials. Amman runs military intelligence, tracking enemy troop movements, intercepting communications, planning operations. But Ben-Gurion knows Israel needs something more. something that operates beyond borders, something that works in the shadows of the world's stage with no rules, no limits, no mercy. He needs an agency that can do what others won't, an agency that answers to no one but him. On the 13th of December 1949, Ben-Gurion signs a secret directive. The Institute for Intelligence and Special Operations, Mossad, is born. Its existence is classified. Its budget is hidden in the Defense Ministry's accounts under vague line items. Its operations are deniable. Its headquarters is a small, unmarked building in Tel Aviv. And its agents? They don't officially exist. The first director is Reuven Shiloah, a quiet, brilliant strategist who helped establish Haganah's intelligence networks during the war. He reports directly to the Prime Minister. No oversight, no public scrutiny. The mission is simple but terrifying in scope. Protect Israel from external threats. Gather intelligence on enemies worldwide. Conduct covert operations anywhere on Earth. And hunt down Nazi war criminals who escaped justice. But here's what almost no one knows, and what was kept classified for decades. Mossad's founding wasn't just about security. It was about revenge. Ben-Gurion and Israel's leadership weren't satisfied with letting Nazi criminals live peaceful lives in South America, the Middle East, or Europe. They wanted blood. They wanted justice. And they wanted the world to know that no one who murdered Jews would ever be safe. In internal memos declassified decades later, Ben-Gurion wrote, "We will hunt them to the ends of the earth. We will find them in their beds, and we will make them answer for every life they took." This was personal. And Mossad's first major operations reflected that rage. But there was a problem. Mossad was brand new. Its agents were inexperienced in international espionage. They didn't have the networks, the technology, or the expertise of established agencies like Britain's MI6 or America's CIA. So they did something shocking. They learned from the enemy. Mossad studied Nazi intelligence methods, interrogation techniques, surveillance tactics, assassination protocols. They analyzed how the Gestapo operated, how Nazi spy networks functioned, how SS officers evaded capture, and they used those methods against the very people who invented them. The hunters became what they hunted, but Mossad faced another problem. They were new, inexperienced, and operating in a world dominated by the CIA and KGB. 1,950 seconds. The world is divided between the United States and the Soviet Union. Every nation must choose a side. Israel chooses America, but it's a complicated relationship. The CIA views Mossad as useful but untrustworthy, a small, aggressive intelligence service in a volatile region, valuable for Middle East intelligence, but prone to reckless operations that could spark larger conflicts. Mossad views the CIA as powerful but naive, rich in resources and technology, but bound by bureaucracy, congressional oversight, and a reluctance to get their hands truly dirty. In the early 1,950 seconds, they attempt cooperation. Operation Susanna, 1,954. The disaster. The plan is simple. Mossad will conduct false flag attacks on American and British targets in Egypt, cinemas, libraries, post offices. The attacks will be blamed on the Muslim Brotherhood and Egyptian nationalists. The goal? Convince Britain and the US that Egypt under Gamal Abdel Nasser is unstable and dangerous. Keep British forces stationed in the Suez Canal zone. Prevent Egypt from growing too powerful. Israeli agents are recruited. They're trained in bomb-making, surveillance, and covert communication. They travel to Cairo and Alexandria using fake identities. The operation begins. Several bombs are planted. Some explode. Damage is minor. But Egyptian security is already watching. On the 23rd of July 1954, an agent named Philip Natanson is caught when a bomb in his pocket ignites prematurely. Under interrogation, he reveals the entire network. Egyptian police round up the remaining agents. Trials are held. 2 are executed by hanging. Others receive long prison sentences. The scandal nearly destroys Mossad. Israeli Defense Minister Pinchas Lavon is forced to resign. The operation becomes known as the Lavon Affair, one of Israel's greatest intelligence disasters. The CIA is furious. Trust is shattered. But Mossad learns from failure. Mistakes are analyzed, protocols are rewritten, and they vow never to rely on the CIA again. By the late 1950s, Mossad is running independent operations across Europe, Africa, and South America, sometimes cooperating with the CIA, sometimes hiding activities from them, sometimes actively deceiving them. The secret no one knows. Mossad hired former Nazis. Here's the part that was classified for decades, the part that, when finally revealed, shocked even seasoned intelligence analysts. Mossad recruited former Nazi intelligence officers to work for them. Yes, you read that correctly. After World War II, many Nazi spies, scientists, and operatives fled to the West. The CIA famously recruited over 1,600 of them in Operation Paperclip, bringing Nazi rocket scientists, intelligence officers, and even concentration camp doctors to America. But Mossad did something even more morally complicated. In the early 1960s, Mossad made contact with Otto Skorzeny, Hitler's favorite commando, the man who rescued Mussolini from Allied captivity in 1943, one of the most wanted Nazis alive. After the war, Skorzeny escaped Allied custody and fled to Spain, where dictator Francisco Franco protected him. He lived openly in Madrid, running businesses, dining with fascist elites. But Skorzeny had something Mossad needed: connections to Nazi networks in Egypt and Syria. In the early 1960s, Egypt was recruiting former Nazi scientists to develop ballistic missiles aimed at Israel. The program was called Operation Ibis. Former Nazi engineers were designing rockets. Former Luftwaffe pilots were training Egyptian Air Force. Israel was terrified. These weren't conventional weapons. These were missiles that could carry chemical or biological warheads into Israeli cities. Mossad needed intelligence on the program, and Skorzeny could provide it, so they made a deal. Skorzeny would infiltrate the Nazi networks in Egypt. He would report back on the scientists, their projects, their capabilities. In exchange, Mossad would leave him alone. No assassination, no kidnapping, no trial. It worked. Skorzeny provided detailed intelligence. Mossad used the information to launch Operation Damocles, a ruthless campaign of intimidation and assassination against the Nazi scientists. Letter bombs were sent to their homes. Car bombs killed some. Others received death threats and fled. The Egyptian missile program collapsed. And Skorzeny? He lived peacefully in Spain until his death in 1975. It's one of the most morally complicated deals in intelligence history. Israel, the nation born from the Holocaust, hired a Nazi war criminal to stop other Nazis. The ends justified the means. But some questioned whether that made Mossad any different from its enemies. But the Nazi hunt wasn't over. In fact, the biggest operation was just beginning. Adolf Eichmann's capture in 1960 is famous worldwide. The daring kidnapping in Buenos Aires, the secret flight to Israel, the televised trial that forced the world to confront the Holocaust. But it wasn't Mossad's first Nazi hunt, and it wasn't the last. Here are the operations history forgot. The Mengele chase, 1960 seconds, 1979. The one that got away. Josef Mengele, the angel of death of Auschwitz, escaped to South America after the war. At Auschwitz, Mengele conducted horrific medical experiments on prisoners, especially twins and children. He infected them with diseases. He performed surgeries without anesthesia. He injected chemicals into their eyes, trying to change their color. Thousands died in his experiments. After the war, Mengele fled to Argentina using false papers provided by Catholic clergy. He lived comfortably for years, protected by wealthy German expatriates. Mossad tracked him for decades. In 1959, they came close. Intelligence suggested Mengele was living in Buenos Aires, the same city where they would later find Eichmann. But Mossad prioritized Eichmann. They couldn't risk two operations simultaneously. In 1962, after Eichmann's successful capture, Mossad returned to the Mengele hunt. Agents located him in Paraguay, living on a remote farm. They planned an extraction identical to the Eichmann operation. A team was assembled. Surveillance was established. But Mengele was tipped off possibly by sympathetic locals, possibly by former Nazi networks still operating in South America. He fled to Brazil hours before the team arrived. Mossad continued tracking him for years. In 1968, they pinpointed his location in São Paulo, but Israeli leadership decided that political risks were too high. Brazil was an ally. Another kidnapping could spark a diplomatic crisis. So they waited, watched, hoped he would make a mistake. He didn't. Mengele lived under a false name in Brazil until the 7th of February 1979, when he drowned while swimming at a beach resort. He was 67 years old. His body wasn't identified until 1985, when forensic analysis confirmed his remains. Mossad's greatest failure. The monster who tortured thousands died peacefully, never facing justice. To this day, some Mossad veterans refuse to talk about Mengele. The failure haunts them. Operation Damocles, 1,960 seconds. Terror against Nazi scientists. In the early 1,960 seconds, Egypt's President Nasser hired over 300 former Nazi scientists and technicians to develop ballistic missiles. The program was ambitious. Missiles with ranges up to 600 kilometers, payloads capable of carrying conventional, chemical, or biological warheads. If successful, Egypt could strike any city in Israel. Israeli intelligence learned of the program in 1961. Panic spread through the government. Mossad was given a simple order: stop them, by any means necessary. Operation Damocles was launched. The methods were brutal. The 11th of September 1962, letter bomb explodes in the office of German scientist Heinz Krug in Cairo. Krug is killed instantly. His body is never found. The 27th of November 1962, letter bomb mailed to German scientist Wolfgang Pils. It explodes, killing his secretary. The 23rd of February 1963, parcel bomb sent to scientist Paul Gurke. It explodes, injuring him and blinding his wife. The message was clear: work for Egypt and you will die. Families received anonymous phone calls describing their children's schools, their daily routines. Wives found threatening notes slipped under doors. Some scientists quit immediately. Others demanded police protection. Some fled back to Europe. Egypt's missile program stalled. Projects were delayed. By the late 1,960 seconds, the program was effectively dead. Operation Damocles succeeded. But at what cost? Innocent people, secretaries, family members were killed or maimed. Critics accused Mossad of terrorism. Mossad didn't care. The mission was accomplished. Herberts Cukurs, the Butcher of Riga, 1965. Herberts Cukurs was a Latvian Nazi collaborator. During the war, he personally participated in massacres that killed over 30,000 Jews in Latvia. After the war, he escaped to Brazil. He lived openly in Rio de Janeiro, running a boat charter business. In 1965, Mossad agents began surveillance. They created a false identity, an Austrian businessman interested in starting a tourism company in South America. The businessman befriended Cukurs. They discussed partnerships. They drank together. They talked about business opportunities. In February 1965, the businessman invited Cukurs to Montevideo, Uruguay, to inspect potential properties. Cukurs agreed. On February 23, they met at a secluded house outside the city. Inside, Mossad agents were waiting. Cukurs was overpowered, bound, and interrogated. He confessed to his crimes. Then he was executed, shot in the head. His body was placed in a trunk. A note was left. Considering the gravity of the charges against you, the terrible murders you committed against our people, you are hereby sentenced to death. It was signed by those who will never forget. The body was discovered days later. Uruguayan police investigated, but no arrests were made. Mossad never officially claimed responsibility, but everyone knew this was justice, this was vengeance, this was Mossad. But Nazi hunting was just one mission. Mossad had bigger enemies and darker secrets. Not every Mossad operation was a success. Not every mission was heroic, and some were complete disasters. The Lillehammer affair, 1973. The Wrong Man, 1972. 11 Israeli athletes are massacred at the Munich Olympics by Palestinian terrorists from the group Black September. Israel vows revenge. Prime Minister Golda Meir authorizes Operation Wrath of God, a campaign to hunt down and assassinate every person involved in the Munich attack. Mossad compiles a kill list. Names, addresses, habits, routines. Teams are dispatched across Europe and the Middle East. One name stands out. Ali Hassan Salameh, mastermind of the Munich operation, chief of operations for Black September, personal security chief to Yasser Arafat. Intelligence suggests Salameh is hiding in Norway under a false identity. On the 21st of July 1973, a Mossad hit team arrives in Lillehammer, a small Norwegian town. They track a man matching Salameh's description. He's tall, dark-haired, Middle Eastern appearance. He meets with suspicious contacts. He uses multiple phones. The team follows him for days. Surveillance confirms this is the target. On a quiet street, as the man walks home with his pregnant wife, two agents approach. They pull weapons. The man sees them. His eyes widen in terror. They fire. He falls. His wife screams, but they killed the wrong man. The victim was Ahmed Bouchiki, a Moroccan waiter living in Norway. He had no connection to terrorism. He was an innocent man. Norwegian police respond quickly. They arrest 6 Mossad agents within days. The operation was sloppy. Agents used the same rental cars, stayed in the same hotels, left trails everywhere. Israel was humiliated. The agents were convicted and imprisoned. Relations with Norway collapsed. The real Ali Hassan Salameh lived freely for another 6 years, until Mossad finally killed him in Beirut in 1979 with a car bomb. But the damage was done. The Lillehammer affair remains Mossad's most shameful failure. The Vanunu affair, 1986, kidnapping a whistleblower. Mordechai Vanunu was an Israeli nuclear technician who worked at the Dimona nuclear facility in the Negev desert. Israel's nuclear program was and remains one of the world's worst-kept secrets. Everyone knows Israel has nuclear weapons, but Israel has never officially confirmed or denied it. In 1985, Vanunu became disillusioned. He believed Israel's nuclear arsenal was dangerous, so he decided to expose it. He took dozens of photographs inside the Dimona facility showing reactors, production lines, storage areas. He smuggled the photos out and contacted the British newspaper The Sunday Times. In October 1986, The Sunday Times published Vanunu's revelations, including detailed photos and descriptions of Israel's nuclear capabilities. Israel was furious. Mossad was ordered to bring Vanunu back alive. Agents tracked him to Rome. They created a honey trap. A female Mossad agent, using the alias Cindy, approached Vanunu at a tourist site. She was beautiful, charming, interested in his story. They spent days together. She seduced him. On the 30th of September 1986, Cindy invited Vanunu to her apartment. He agreed. Inside, Mossad agents were waiting. They drugged him, bundled him onto a yacht, and sailed to Israel. Vanunu woke up in an Israeli prison. He was tried in secret, convicted of treason and espionage, and sentenced to 18 years 11 in solitary confinement. Was Vanunu a traitor or a whistleblower? Opinions remain divided, but one thing is certain. Mossad doesn't forgive. and it doesn't forget. Internal betrayals, the agents who vanished. Not all Mossad's enemies were external. In the 1,980 seconds, several agents defected or were revealed as double agents working for the KGB, CIA, or hostile intelligence services. Some were caught, others fled. Those who were caught faced Mossad's internal security division. The office, a department more feared than any external enemy. The office investigates betrayals, it interrogates suspects, and it handles problems. In classified documents that leaked years later, references appear to agents who resigned or left the service during this period. But colleagues noticed something strange. These agents were never seen again. They didn't return to civilian life. They didn't move abroad. They simply vanished. Some intelligence analysts believe Mossad quietly executed agents suspected of betrayal. Others think they were imprisoned in secret facilities. The truth remains classified. The message is clear: betray Mossad, and there's no escape. And yet, despite failures and controversies, Mossad became the most feared intelligence agency in the world. The Cold War ends in 1991. The Soviet Union collapses. The world breathes easier. But Mossad's mission doesn't change. New enemies emerge: Iran's nuclear program, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, ISIS in Syria and Iraq, and Mossad adapts. Operation Orchard, 2007, destroying Syria's nuclear reactor, the 6th of September 2007. Israeli F-15 jets cross into Syrian airspace undetected. They fly low, hugging the terrain. At 12:39 a.m., they reach their target, a building in the Deir ez-Zor region near the Euphrates River. Bombs are released. The building explodes. Within minutes, it's obliterated. Syria's secret nuclear reactor, built with North Korean assistance, is destroyed. How did Israel know it existed? Mossad. In 2006, Mossad agents infiltrated Syrian government networks. They hacked computers. They stole classified files showing detailed reactor plans. They even planted listening devices in Syrian military installations. The intelligence was brought to Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. He ordered the strike. Syria never admitted the reactor existed. The site was bulldozed and paved over. To this day, Syria officially denies it. Stuxnet, 2010. The world's first cyber weapon, Iran's nuclear program is advancing. Centrifuges spin at the Natanz enrichment facility, producing weapons-grade uranium. Conventional military strikes are too risky. Iran would retaliate. War could spread across the Middle East. So Mossad and the CIA develop a different weapon: Stuxnet. It's a computer worm, malicious software designed to infiltrate Iran's nuclear facilities, spread through their networks, and sabotage the centrifuges. The worm is incredibly sophisticated. It's designed to remain undetected, slowly causing mechanical failures that appear accidental. In 2010, Stuxnet is deployed. It spreads through Iranian networks. Within months, centrifuges begin failing. Production slows. Uranium enrichment is set back years. Iran doesn't realize they've been sabotaged until researchers discover the worm. It's the world's first cyber weapon used in warfare, and Mossad helped create it. Assassination of Iranian scientists. 2010 to 2020. Iran's nuclear program continues despite setbacks. So Mossad launches a decade-long assassination campaign. The 12th of January 2010, Masoud Ali Mohammadi, Iranian nuclear physicist, is killed by a motorcycle bomb outside his home in Tehran. The 29th of November 2010, Majid Shahriari, nuclear scientist, is killed when a magnetic bomb is attached to his car in traffic. The 27th of November 2020, Mohsen Fakhrizadeh, Iran's top nuclear scientist, is assassinated on a highway outside Tehran. A remote-controlled machine gun hidden in a truck opens fire. Fakhrizadeh is killed instantly. The operation is surgical. The weapon is recovered and examined by Iranian investigators. It's Israeli-made. Israel never officially claims responsibility. But the message is clear. Stop building nukes, or we'll kill everyone involved. The Al-Mabhouh hit, 2010. Caught on camera the 19th of January 2010. Mahmoud al-Mabhouh, a senior Hamas commander responsible for weapons smuggling and military operations, checks into the Al Bustan Rotana Hotel in Dubai. That night, he's murdered in his room. Dubai police investigate. They review CCTV footage from the hotel and surrounding areas. What they find is shocking. A 27-person Mossad hit team tracked al-Mabhouh from the moment he arrived. They used fake passports from Britain, Ireland, France, Germany, and Australia. They booked rooms near his. They followed him through the hotel. They entered his room while he was out and installed surveillance. When al-Mabhouh returned, agents entered his room. They subdued him. They injected him with a muscle relaxant. He suffocated within minutes. The operation was flawless, except they were caught on camera. Dubai released the footage to the world. Passports were exposed. Diplomatic crises erupted. But al-Mabhouh was still dead. Mossad doesn't apologize. Throughout this story, one name keeps appearing. Rafi Eitan, from Palmach in the 1940 seconds, to the Eichmann capture in 1960, to decades of Mossad operations, Eitan became a legend. He ran operations across the globe. He trained generations of agents. He shaped Mossad into what it is today. But in 1985, Eitan was involved in one of the most damaging espionage scandals in US-Israel relations, the Jonathan Pollard affair. Pollard was a US Navy intelligence analyst who spied for Israel, passing classified documents to Eitan's handlers. When Pollard was arrested, the scandal nearly destroyed US-Israel intelligence cooperation. Eitan was forced to resign from Mossad. But he never stopped serving Israel. He entered politics, founded a political party, and remained active in intelligence circles. He died in 2019 at age 92, one of the last links to the generation that founded Mossad. At his funeral, former Mossad directors, prime ministers, and agents from around the world gathered. One speaker said, "Rafi was Mossad. Mossad was Rafi. He was the bridge between the Holocaust and the State of Israel, between tragedy and survival." Today, Mossad operates in over 100 countries. Its budget is classified. Its headquarters is a secure compound outside Tel Aviv. Its operations are deniable. Its agents are ghosts. It has conducted thousands of missions, assassinations, kidnappings, sabotage, cyber attacks, intelligence gathering, some successful, some failed. Some we'll never know about, but one thing is certain. Mossad was born from the ashes of World War II, from the trauma of the Holocaust, from the determination that never again isn't just a slogan, it's a mission. Every Nazi hunted, every terrorist killed, every nuclear program sabotaged, every enemy eliminated. It's all connected to that moment in 1945 when the world failed to protect 6 million Jews. Mossad exists so that failure never happens again. The methods are controversial, the operations are brutal, the moral lines are blurred, but for Israel, Mossad is survival, and it will never stop. Somewhere in the world right now, a Mossad agent is watching, tracking, planning. Maybe it's a terrorist plotting an attack. Maybe it's a scientist building weapons. Maybe it's someone who committed crimes decades ago and thought they were safe. They're not. Because Mossad doesn't forget. Mossad doesn't forgive. Mossad doesn't stop. The war that began in 1939 ended in 1945 for most of the world. But for Mossad, the war never ended. And as long as threats exist, as long as enemies plot, as long as justice is denied, Mossad will be there. In the shadows. Watching. Waiting. Ready to strike. Do you think Mossad's methods are justified? Or do they go too far? Should intelligence agencies operate outside the law to protect their countries? Or does that make them no better than the enemies they fight? Was hiring Otto Skorzeny, a Nazi war criminal, justified if it saved Israeli lives? Or did it betray the memory of Holocaust victims? These are difficult questions, and there are no easy answers. Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you believe the truth about history's most secret agency deserves to be told, hit that like button. Subscribe for more untold World War II stories, intelligence operations, and the secrets powerful nations don't want you to know. And share this video with anyone fascinated by spy thrillers, covert operations, and the hidden forces shaping our world. Because some stories are too important to remain secret forever. Thank you for watching. And remember, the shadows are always watching.